from spinning circles to disappearing dots. These insane optical illusions aren't what they appear to be. Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Hey everyone! Welcome to the Radiant Clues.
Before jumping on in, we have one question on our minds. What is an optical illusion? Optical illusions are visuals that tend to be deceptive to the eye and brain. This is based on numerous factors including varying colors, patterns, lights, and more. When looking at these images, what we see gets sent to our brains, and a false perception is created as the image our brain processes isn't actually what is in front of us. Different people will often see these illusions differently, which is completely normal since everyone's brain works in different ways. Do you think you have what it takes to figure out these optical illusions? There are so many types of illusions, and we've rounded up the best of famous illusions like color illusions, pattern illusions, illusory motion illusions, and literal illusions. So let's get started. 1. Cafe wall illusion. These lines appear to be angled up or down, but the horizontal lines are actually all parallel. Need proof? Try covering the top and bottom of one line of squares with a piece of paper. No slants to be found. 2. Muller-LYER illusion. Look at these two vertical lines with arrowheads pointing inward or outward at both ends. Which line is longer? The one with inward pointing arrowheads or the one with outward pointing arrowheads? They seem to have different lengths, but once more, they are equal. This illusion is caused by how our brain interprets depth and perspective cues from the arrowheads. The inward pointing arrowheads suggest that the line is closer to us, while the outward pointing arrowheads suggest that the line is farther away from us. As we saw before, our brain tends to perceive objects that are farther away as larger than objects that are closer to us. This is why we see the line with outward pointing arrowheads as longer than the line with inward pointing arrowheads. 3. ZÖLLNER illusion. Are these long diagonal lines parallel? They sure don't look it, but they are. Removing the smaller stitch-like lines shows the truth about this optical illusion. 4. Scintillating grid illusion. An oldie but goodie. You may have seen the scintillating grid illusion before. Your brain thinks there's a black dot inside each white circle until you focus on each individual white circle. Then you realize it was never there at all. These images can be quite deceiving, so put your eye to the test and see how many triangles are in this puzzle. 5. Spinning dancer illusion. This infamous silhouette of a dancer changes direction, but do you know how? It's all based on your bistable perception when our brain sees a 2D in two different perspectives. The reason why we believe it moves is because our brains are trying to create space around the dancer. 6. PONZO illusion. One of these yellow lines seems longer than the other. If you look closely, you will realize they're both the exact same length. It's based on our perception, and we tend to see this image with a linear perspective, which makes the top yellow line look longer than the yellow line at the bottom. Imagine driving and seeing a line up ahead. As you get closer, the line appears to be larger, and when we pass it, it appears smaller. 7. Elephant optical illusion. How many legs does the elephant have? At first glance, the answer may be obvious, but look a little closer, and this fiendish illusion reveals itself. The elephants we see have 4 legs, but this one is throwing us a doozy. If we look closely, you'll see this elephant also only has 4 legs. Artist Roger Shepard left natural space blank, causing confusion and making our brains think the space is supposed to be a leg. Still confused? Cover up the feet and you'll see the 4 legs. 8. New squares. At first glance, the 4 diamonds in this picture pop right out, but look closer, there's not a single line creating those shapes. The contrast between the black and white makes your brain assume they exist. 9. Connected lines. Which of the 2 lines on the right side of the gray rectangle connects to the one on the left side? As you can see from the image on the right, it's the one on the bottom, labeled in blue, not the one on the top. When you can't see the whole picture, these optical illusions can seriously throw you for a loop. 10. Wacky squares. Some of these optical illusions make your head spin. In the optical illusion on the left, the red squares look warped and crooked, like something out of a funhouse. But on the right, when the crazy arrangement of black and white lines is faded to almost nothing, you can see that the red squares are actually as straight and square as can be. 11. Standing tall. Which of these monsters charging through the catacombs is taller? More optical illusions that use the background to trick you. Without the backdrop, you can see that these two freaky fellows are exactly the same, including their height. 12. RUBIN vase. Vase or face. This is an example of a RUBIN vase, an optical illusion named after the Danish psychologist Edgar Rubin, who first developed the trick. Upon first glance, do you see the figure of a vase or the side profile of two faces looking at one another? It all depends on the color you choose to focus on. If you look only at the black color, the image of a vase will appear prominently. Focusing on the white will show the side profile of the two individuals. 13. Impossible triangle illusion. Look at this drawing of a triangle. Does it make sense? Can you imagine how it would look like in 3 dimensions? It looks like a real object, but it is not. It is an impossible figure, a type of optical illusion that depicts objects that violate geometric rules or physical laws. Our brain tries to interpret this image as a 3-dimensional object, but it fails because it contains contradictory depth cues. For example, each corner of the triangle appears to be both in front of and behind another corner, which is impossible. This creates a paradoxical perception that confuses our brain. 14. The Knitza triangle illusion. Look at this arrangement of 3 black circles and 3 black angles on a white background. Do you see a white triangle in front of them? There is no triangle there, but our brain fills in the gaps and creates one. This illusion is caused by how our brain organizes visual information into shapes and patterns based on Gestalt principles. One of these principles is closure, which means that our brain tends to complete incomplete figures and perceive them as whole objects. In this case, our brain connects the edges of the black angles and circles and forms a white triangle that covers them. 15. Ebbinghaus illusion. Look at these 2 orange circles surrounded by smaller and larger blue circles. Which orange circle is bigger, the one on the left or the one on the right? They appear to have different sizes, but again, if you measure them, you will see that they are identical. This illusion is caused by how our brain compares objects based on their context. The orange circle on the left looks smaller because it is surrounded by larger blue circles, while the orange circle on the right looks bigger because it is surrounded by smaller blue circles. This makes us judge their sizes relative to their surroundings, rather than their actual sizes. 16. AMES room illusion. Look at these 2 people standing in a room. Who is taller, the person on the left or the person on the right? It seems obvious that the person on the left is much taller, but in reality, the trick here is that the room is not a normal rectangular room, but a distorted one that has a trapezoidal shape. The left corner of the room is much closer to the viewer than the right corner, but we don't notice this because we assume that the room is normal and we only see it from one angle. This makes us perceive the person on the left as much larger than the person on the right, even though they are actually standing at the same distance from us. So these are some of the optical illusions that will make your brain hurt. What do you think? Did any of them fool you? Do you know any other optical illusions? Let me know in the comments below.
Hey, thank you for watching and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.